I had a wedding this weekend, actually, in Jacksonville. And so I filled up my tank, as you might imagine. And I have a mid-size sedan. I have an old 2006 Mercedes, an E350, beautiful car. And I know some of you listen to Dave Ramsey. My secret over the years has been buying used cars for cash in that $10,000 to $15,000 range, which unfortunately doesn't get you very much anymore since COVID. Oh my gosh, used cars have just gone through the roof. But nonetheless, that's always been my secret, and let me tell you why. Because I hate to say it, a lot of people don't have $10,000 to $15,000 cash to buy a used car, and a lot of the finance companies won't provide financing for an older used car in that $10,000 to $15,000 range. So it's an excellent sweet spot for cash buyers if you're sort of looking at the classifieds or Craigslist or whatever it might be. So I've had some success in that area buying, nice luxury older cars. But nonetheless, let's say, I think I paid $11,000 for this car. I'll just be frank. But honestly, my mindset when I bought it was that I'm really paying about $20,000 because I know there's going to be some expensive repairs along the way. But nonetheless, if you go in with that mindset, $20,000 is still way less than, I don't know, a Honda Accord these days is $35,000 or something like that. So, but even with that Mercedes, which is a 6-cylinder, it's got, I think, about a 20-gallon tank. It cost me almost $100 to fill up. I think I paid $443 or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot of people have big SUVs, big F-150 pickups, and not to mention the RV people. I mean, they're, and God bless our truck drivers, especially the independents who are driving these big diesel rigs, and they're paying $1,000, $1,200 to fill up. And some of them are independent business people. They don't have a gas card. That's part of their cost to run their independent business. And everything you buy, ladies and gentlemen, virtually, even if it came on a boat from China, even if it came on an airplane on FedEx Cargo, even if it came on a UPS truck from Amazon, it probably went that last mile on a truck. It probably got to Target or Walmart or your local Wawa, wherever it probably got there on a truck. And guess what? That truck burned diesel. So this affects the price of everything you pay. Diesel's well over $5 a gallon, probably about $5.50 in most places. And I was thinking to myself, as I filled my tank for $95 to go to this wedding in Jacksonville, boy, oh boy, the Biden administration is going to have an awful hard time obscuring that from the American public because that's a day in, day out big ticket item for most of you. You drive down the street, they have big, LED signs that tell you what the gas price is, and it's almost an advertisement for the shape we're in as an economy. And we got to understand, folks, energy is vital, absolutely vital to an economy. Energy is a form of almost untold wealth in any society. If you look at the poorest places on earth, what they don't have is abundant, dense electricity from coal. What they don't have is abundant, dense energy from from gasoline or natural gas being refined and burned in their vehicles. And we have this across the West. It's almost an underlying form of energy in our society. You flip the switch, there's your electricity. You turn on the hot water, there's your hot water. You go to the gas station, there's your gas. You go to Target, there's 50 kinds of toothpaste, which makes Bernie Sanders unhappy. But apparently we like it because Target keeps selling it to us. And that is, we don't pay enough attention to energy. We've taken it for granted so long. And, those of us who have the good fortune who've been born in the West and also enjoy some kind of middle-class lifestyle, we haven't had to think too much about gas and electricity bills and home heating bills as a percentage of our income. It's something you pay. And we might have to start thinking about it more, folks, because again, that $443 I paid at the pump, that is going to trickle through the economy in ways you cannot imagine. And if you look at some of these countries which have gone further and faster with the so-called green revolution, the Green New Deal, like Germany, for example, folks, this is a wealthy, very wealthy per capita, Western industrialized country. This isn't Greece. This isn't Turkey. And it sure as heck isn't a poor African country. And yet they've been shutting down their nuclear power plants after the Fukushima incident about 10 years ago now in Japan. Germany's been shutting down its nuclear power plants. The United States isn't building any new ones, folks. A new one came online in Georgia recently. It's not online yet. It's completed, the building portion, but that's it. America is basically losing old nuclear plants and not replacing them. Germany's shutting them down. And unlike the United States, the Germans import a huge percentage of their oil to run their cars from Russia. Whoops. And now Russia's saying, oh, okay, we're an international pariah. Well, we can reduce our oil exports as a pariah. That's what pariahs do. Now, fortunately, in the United States, we don't import very much oil from Russia. It's way less than 10%. But it doesn't matter where we import it from, folks. We don't refine enough. We're not building new refineries. We haven't built really any since the 70s. And that's a choke point. It doesn't matter how much oil you have if you can't refine it quickly enough. And if you talk to oil company executives, and I'm not a big fan of them because in some ways they're subsidized and they've given a lot of lip service to this Green New Deal instead of opposing it. They should be honest and bold and say, you know what, we're not apologizing for fossil fuels. Fossil fuels have made the West rich beyond belief. They have given us the dynamic, interconnected global economy we enjoy. And that's why that toothbrush or that toothpaste at Target is $3 instead of $8. Okay, so they shouldn't be apologetic, and they are. But nonetheless, oil company executives have told us, hey, look, we believe the politicians when they tell us that fossil fuels aren't the future. We're all going to be driving electric cars, this sort of thing. We believe you. And so we're not going to put millions and millions of dollars into new refineries because that kind of capital investment, they will tell you, takes decades to repay. And that's a very uncertain future, isn't it? Who's going to invest in that? And so, this idea that we're all going to drive electric cars soon, folks, just with these heat waves we've experienced throughout, let's say, the lower two-thirds of the U.S., except for the northern states the last couple of weeks, we've had governors telling everybody, hey, can you not plug in your electric car, please, this afternoon because the grid is stressed and everyone's running their air conditioning. Well, something like 1% of U.S. vehicles are electric. What's that going to be like when it's 25 or 50%, which they're trying to not, this isn't the marketplace. This is government telling us we're going to reach these levels soon. We're going to mandate these levels. And then the auto manufacturers follow suit and say that's what we're going to do. Folks, electricity, batteries don't run cars. Batteries store electricity. That electricity comes from burning coal or in some cases nuclear power. But we're anti-coal now and we're shutting down nuclear plants. Where's it going to come from? This idea that the Green New Deal, is going to provide us with all kinds of renewable energy sources from wind or solar or hydro. It just isn't true, folks. There's just not enough capacity unless we're all willing to accept a much lower standard of living. Less air conditioning, be hot and sweating, fewer goods and services, less driving, less air travel. Is that our future? There's a new book by a brilliant guy named Alex Epstein called Fossil Future. Thoroughly researched, thoroughly detailed, painstakingly written. I recommend it to you on Amazon. Alex Epstein, Fossil Future. He's laid this all out, folks. He spent a couple of very difficult years coming up with the numbers and the facts on all this. And the idea that we're just going to somehow, without any trade-offs, we're going to create these great new jobs, says Joe Biden and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and we're going to just run America and the West on wind and solar and hydro and all these renewable sources. No, we're not. We're not going to do that. The numbers aren't there unless we're willing to accept just less energy, which means we're poorer, less comfortable, less happy, lower standard of living. And I don't think that's what we want in this country. Joe Biden campaigned on this. He said it openly during Democratic debates. Bernie Sanders standing next to him. He had to out-Bernie to appeal to those primary voters. And he said quite openly, we're going to stop drilling. We're going to stop it. We're going to stop burning fossil fuels in this country. If you go back to the Barack Obama administration, 2013, Barack Obama, Secretary of Energy, said we got more shale, more gas, more natural gas, more oil than we ever imagined in the Bakken region, North Dakota. But apparently we're not going to burn it. We're going to leave it in the ground, folks. That's what the Democrats tell us.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.